What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Panels on Pages, a podcast where we talk about comic books and all related media. My name is Dalibor, and today we're talking about Trial of Magneto. The new one, not the old one. And this is a problem that I'm going to talk about in another episode, but today we're just going to talk about the current Krakoan Age 2021 Trial of Magneto. There have been two issues. Are they the only two issues? It seems to have somehow... You know, like that episode of Simpsons when they accuse Flanders of being a murderer, and then Homer says, "Well, I guess it's all been wrapped up in a neat little package," and everyone's like, "Right?" And he's like, "No, I was being sincere." Okay, so she's not dead, right? She shows up. Actually, I disagree. Everything's fine. Let's go home. So Magneto didn't kill her. Except he was acting mad sus the whole time, and I'm like, what exactly is going on? Like, did he kill her? Is it? And then they're also right at the end, obviously, mad spoilers. If you're this deep and you didn't know, I mean, if you read the first issue, you knew she wasn't dead. Nonetheless, right at the end when she shows up, when Scarlet Witch shows up, they show a spot, like a single panel of Mystique, who I don't recall being in the first issue. So then it was a matter of, or maybe she was and was just like isn't it weird that he's acting sus? That's kind of what it felt like. And here's the thing. In the first issue, I think he ended up being in a black costume. The second issue, he went red costume. I feel like they put these books together without talking to each other. Or there's something to that, because it feels like he switched costumes for other issues. Like, I think he, what was it? The Empire X-Men story. When Magneto showed up, he was in red, and she was like, "Looks like you're dressed for war." And so, is it that deep? Or is it just like a coloring mistake, like a drawing mistake? Who knows? Nonetheless, she shows up. There's a single shot of Mystique, and she said, "This will be interesting." Did she kill her? Did she kill her looking like Magneto? Because I don't know, man. I don't know. This shit is weird. It was a fucking... I talked about this last time. The Scarlet Witch problem is that she is ridiculously powerful. Here's my thing. He might have killed her. Someone might have killed her. And then she just, realived herself because she's that fucking powerful. So she's like, I'm dead, but I know I'm not dead, so thus I'm not dead. That's kind of what it felt like. And which just reinforces the point I made last time. Scarlet Witch is so fucking powerful that you can't possibly, there's just no captivating, interesting way to do a story with her. Oh, she's the dead body in the first issue, and the second issue, she's the fucking literal Deus Ex Machina. She shows up, fight stops. No fight with Magneto. Magneto doesn't bring down all of fucking Krakoa, because apparently he was just ready to do that. I think maybe it was just the Boneyard, but nonetheless, fuck. Man, it was a really, really fucking weird story. I don't even know. They made a big deal. Let me see if there's more issues. So there does appear to be a third issue, and I'm putting it on screen right now if you're watching the podcast. And maybe if there's a fourth, I'll also put it up. But in the third issue, on the cover, he's holding, he's next to, I'm going to say holding, because it looks like he's manipulating with his powers, a scales, like scales of justice kind of thing. Symbology? I meant to say symbolism, but I feel like symbology is a different thing. Nonetheless, symbolism. But it's like Magneto's red helmet, Wanda's crown thing. I don't know what the fuck those are called. What are those called? Wonder Woman has one. I feel like it's the same category. Wonder Woman's... I'm not going to look this up. Lasso, boots, bracelets, tiara? But that seems like such a silly word for... But I feel like it is tiara. I mean, I know Wonder Woman's is a tiara. Is Storm's a tiara? The thing she wears? I feel like Storm's is also a tiara. Like her classic black... Yeah, I think it's just tiara. Which sounds so weak. I don't know, it sounds like a really weak name for it. Like, it feels like there should be another name for it. If there is one, please let me know at Boston Sear on on Twitter. Nonetheless, yeah. So that's the image that we're looking at here on the Magneto, on the Trial of Magneto 3 cover. Okay, I've got to look it up now. Is there a 4? Is there a 4? Is this going to be a 3-issue limited series? What's going to happen? Yeah, there is a 4 planned, and the cover to 4. Okay, okay. I have some ideas. I have some thoughts. Okay, so here I'm going to put it up on the screen for those listening. I'm going to describe it. It is a picture of dead Wanda, a tree Wanda, which then leads me to believe that maybe the one that showed up at the end of 2 to like squash the fight is the tree Wanda. And then there's the other Wanda. There's another Wanda. Appears to be the same costume, but she is like turning blue in part of it, which then leads me to believe this is Mystique, which then would support my idea that, because let's say double toil and trouble, a Wanda divided cannot stand, but there are many other things she can do. Chaos comes to Krakoa. I don't think there's a 5. I think it's just going to be a 4. So what was the description for? What was the description for 3? The 3, judge, jury, and executioner. The truth won't stay buried, nor will other things. Who lurks in the shadows, and what do they know? I'm going to say Mystique is lurking in the shadows. But if Mystique is, so this, I'm thinking this is going to be used by Mystique as a way to start Inferno, which, again, is a problem. That's a different problem we're going to discuss next time. Yeah, I think, rather, I'm afraid that this is just a stepping stone story. Like, this was never meant, unless this does what I thought it was going to do. My original thought was she dies somehow during the like ensuing chaos. Pietro dies. Both of them resurrected as mutants with pre-Axis mentality, brains, all that stuff, which would be super interesting and fucked up and could cause clashes with the Avengers. There's just a lot there. Nonetheless, but I don't think it's going to be it. What I'm then concerned about, if it's not going to be something like really crazy, I think this is literally stage 1 of Inferno. This is just Mystique trying to fuck with shit, and she's going to be pushing this to Inferno. And here's the thing. I feel at a point, I think Nimrod is a thing that's still happening, and we're like, the whole premise here is the ultimate fight against the extinction of mutant kind, right? That's the premise of the Krakoan Age. Just to dive into like my predictions on Inferno a little bit, Mystique is going to start some shit. She's going to want her wife back. Like, she continues to want her wife back, rather. They're going to say no again. And she's going to try to force the issue, or she's just going to burn it to the fucking ground. Just going to literally start fires, which will like force them to make a decision, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe Destiny comes back. And with Irene back, Irene would like do her precog thing but like give like, here are all these possibilities. And they'll be like, well, what happens? Unless she comes out, because that's the thing. They were afraid of, I'm like, this is just train of thought right now. This is literally just being formed as I speak. What they were afraid of with the precogs, if you recall, if you're reading the current Krakoan Age, what they were afraid of with the precogs was that they would see that we lose in every possible future. Although, how the whole Moira alternate timeline thing works, the alternate, like, repeating lifespan thing, I'm not sure how it works. Time travel, timelines, time, everything in the Marvel Universe is very, very... she kind of, like, Nicolas Cage nexted 10 lives. That's kind of what it feels like. She kind of Nicolas Cage nexted 10 lives. Although, I might do a deep... I might reread those stories, because I had a thought just now regarding how that worked out. Because 6 was the one where they found out the most information. I don't remember 7 and 8 being... We'll talk about that in a different one. Nonetheless, so they're afraid that in every version of the possible future, they die. And there's no possibility of her... Well, in theory, there's not a possibility of her coming back another time. Which, to me... Now, granted, we're going to talk about It's All Canon later. But to me, before the current era, Moira's been dead for a long time. I haven't even thought about Moira for a long time. So when they were like, Moira, and I was like, the fuck you say? So that's kind of the thing for me. But it's all canon, so Moira has never been dead, technically. That was what was it? That was like a clone? Like a weird clone? That's who died? Yeah, it gets weird. Nonetheless, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Inferno goes down, because I think I'm fearing, because there are a lot of moving parts here, because not only are we talking about story elements, we're also talking about real world creator elements. Hickman planned out X years, and I don't think he's said a specific number, but I think he made some really long-term plans. But shit got realigned when new artists came in, new writers came in, and they all had some new ideas. Shit got intermixed. So his original plan is not what's still happening. Things are happening in a different fashion, in a more collaborative sense. Problem with that, his driving force is leaving in January. He's handing over all his plans, and then essentially what I'm afraid of is that we're gonna just start getting this same situation that we've always had prior to recently, where shit is just gonna happen in individual books, and then once in a while they're gonna come over and cross over. Whereas right now, the entire X-Men line feels very, very continuous, very self-contained. Everything's happening intermixed with other books. It just feels really, really well put together, because it is. And I'm concerned that because he's leaving, Inferno and almost certainly the ramifications of Inferno are going to fuck shit up to a point where Excalibur's going to be on their own, maybe show up back and forth a little bit, but I just don't see another situation where the New Mutants go and do a thing and that directly influences X-Men issues, which then directly influences Marauders issues. It's been really nice, honestly. It's been a really refreshing time, because even going back to what I would dub as my favorite era of X-Men was back to the roots, 97 to 99, when they kind of rebuilt the X-Men from the ground up, basically. That era was those two books were really, they were back and forth, just kind of continuous. They just were. But X-Factor was completely their own thing. X-Force was absolutely its own thing completely. And then when they went into 99, 2000, and they did the Revolution, Generation X, Generation X, X-Force, and X-Man became super different. X-Factor ended, Mutant X started, which it was in a different universe, so that was completely its own thing. Wolverine was just kind of chugging along at the time. I feel for 3-4 years there just really wasn't anything important that happened in Wolverine. After his whole stint as Death, he just kind of did some shit. I, off the top of my head, cannot remember any. Oh yeah, because that was like the I do remember some of that stuff because it was fucking weird. Because he went to space and he fought Galactus and like weird shit. But it was just like kind of he was doing his own thing, even though he was still in the X-Men. But we also had like the Powerless story, which like somewhat like hit everyone. I don't know. It was not my favorite era after that. Like once we kind of like rebuilt the X-Men and like the Revolution era started, it was not my favorite. There's a lot of like weird shit, interesting shit, a lot of cool callbacks. If you were a Excalibur fan, going back to like the Slavers, man, I forget their name, but they were in Excalibur. They showed up in the new Claremont run in X-Men, and Claremont just got weird with it, and I appreciated that. I did appreciate like that he got weird with it, but again, not all of the books were contained together. And ever since, everything's kind of been on its own, right? Like we've had like the Peter David X Factor had nothing to do with X-Men, nothing at all. Like all the way up to like Secret Wars. Peter David like X Factor, the other X Factor after that, which I think was also still before Secret Wars. X-Force throughout that entire era was super weird. And then after Secret Wars, we got like I guess that stuff like what was that? But like X-Force, we had like a really really dope X-Force run, but it was kind of its own thing. Like it like spawned out of the X-Men books, and like they eventually did like intertwine stuff, but they were just like big events. It was like every fucking 6 months it felt like there was an event, and that was a rough era for me because I'm not a big fan of like these sprawling events that just like to understand what's going on you have to have the other issues, whereas what's going on in the current X-Men books, it's like if you didn't read New Mutants, the like brood egg thing, you got enough information to figure it out. Like you knew what was happening. You didn't need to know the adventure that was had to get the brood egg, the king egg, like that shit. That's what I'm talking about. Like it's interwoven in such a way that both tell really good separate stories, yet they're very much interlinked and interwoven. And that's like my favorite shit, especially for X-Men. And that's I think that's what like the MCU is shooting for. Like I think we're going to be coming like into the next Captain America movie. We're going to be dealing straight with shit that happened in Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Same thing with like Multiverse of Madness and maybe even Spider-Man. We're going to be dealing straight with shit that happened in WandaVision. Like we're definitely directly dealing with shit, and even stuff from Loki. And then possibly, depending on how What If progresses, because I feel like there's a crossover coming, and I feel like we might like pull, like I feel like What If might feed into Multiverse of Madness as well. But what I'm saying is, it all tells its own story. But then, like if let's say Captain Carter from What If shows up in Multiverse of Madness, you get enough information in Multiverse of Madness to be like, this is who she is. Like when she pops in, like Strange brings her, and someone's like, who the fuck is this? And he's like, this is Captain Carter from a world where she got the super soldier serum, not Steve. That's all you need to know, because the details are in What If, but like you could just, that's all you need to know. She is the Captain America from that universe. That's it. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the shit that's happening right now in X-Men is so good, and I love how it all fucking mixes. And I'm going to be real salty if it breaks apart after Inferno. Be real salty about it. I'm going to be real salty. Quite honestly. But I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong, and Trial of Magneto could end in some fucking wild way that I haven't even conceived of yet. We'll see what happens. This is the beauty of this shit. I fucking love comics. That's going to be it for this one. Just a short kind of rant video. I'm lining up a couple interviews. We're going to be doing a big push. Lots of Kickstarters going towards this final quarter of the year. So we're doing a big push to promote some people, help some people out. So if you are not subscribed to the podcast, please subscribe. If you are not listening, but you are watching, subscribe on YouTube. If you are listening, but not watching, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We are pretty much everywhere that matters. That's going to be it for this one. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you in the next one.